So this is a video that I'm posting for anyone who's working on a BMW X1 X-Drive 28i, and this is an alternator replacement. So basically what I did initially was to remove part of the intake here to give us room to work into the engine bay and pull out the alternator. So I did remove a bolt right here. That's a 10E socket. I released this clamp right here from this hose, and I released this clamp right here from this hose as well. So basically just gently pull this hose out, and then this other piece as well from the intake. This is the mass airflow sensor, which I'm going to be cleaning as well. Be very careful with that piece because it's very gentle. And so once I pull out that section of the intake, I decided to make a little more room here because it's really tight. So here on this intake hose as well, there is a little clamp that you can lift with a screwdriver. Just lift that clamp and gently pull the hose all the way down and back. There is a little connector here as well. Let me see, where is it? It's hiding right here. This connector, this little blue connector goes into the intake hose as well, but be careful because this piece has been there for years and it was really like dried up, so I had to put some lubricant oil to make it gently loose it, and it came out with no problems. But if it breaks, that will be a big problem because those sensors are very expensive. Also, once I disconnected this part, I disconnected the connection here for the alternator, and then I dropped the hose a little bit all the way down here and disconnected the vacuum hose from here. It's a little connection here that you just squeeze and then pull back, and then that gives us pretty amount of decent room to pull out the alternator. Okay, so once you get here, it's really easy. The first bolt that you need to release is the one that fits the battery. That's this red cable right here. That's a 10mm. And then there is two E12s. So the short one goes on top right here, and that goes into the engine block, and the other one goes on the bottom, the long one, and it attaches to the other side right there. So that's pretty easy. That's all you have to do. Remove these two bolts and then pull back on the alternator pretty hard because it was sitting there for like 10 years, so it took a little bit of amount of strength to pull it out. All right, so the bed O'Reilly's, and I got this beautiful alternator. By the way, the one from Parts Kit was $380. This one, brand new from O'Reilly, is only, well, I mean, it's not cheap, it's $500, but this one comes with lifetime warranty. And they told me they will replace it up to 3 times if I have any issues with it. So for the remaining life of my vehicle, I will never have to worry about spending any more money on an alternator because, I mean, it's almost impossible to go through 3 alternators for the lifetime of the vehicle. All right, so all that is needed again is a E12 for the screws here, for the sockets that go into the alternator, and an E17 that goes into the belt tensioner release bolt. And so, by the way, the lower bolt right here is going to be covered by the belt tensioner pulley. So all you have to do is put the E17 on the belt tensioner pulley and just move it out of the way so you can pull out that screw. I'm going to be showing that later. All right, so I just put the alternator in, and right here I'm showing you, this is the first E17. I'm sorry, this is the first E12. The short one goes on top, and the second one goes right here on the bottom, right there. But you see right here, you have the belt tensioner. So what you need to do is put a 17 socket here or a 16 socket, move the belt tensioner away so you have enough room to, because this is gonna go a little bit higher. Okay guys, so I ran into a little situation. So the new alternator came with a little like bolt here, and it was not allowing the unit to be mounted onto the brackets in the engine. So it was a little bit too thick and it was not fitting. So I have to use my angle grinder and cut a little piece. So hopefully this is gonna fit. But the screw is going in with no problems. I didn't create any damage on the threads, so it's good. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the engine, and I'll continue recording. All right guys, success. So I was able to mount the see the lower bolt for the alternator into the bracket that comes in the engine. So I just had to release here with my bolt breaker bar with a 16mm socket clockwise to release the belt tensioner. And so that will allow me now to screw the E12 bolt, the lower bolt on the alternator, into the brackets that come in the engine block. All right, so I got the lower bolt all the way in, but I'm not gonna torque it yet, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the top bolt E12 that goes on top on the alternator into the engine mounting socket. All right, so the alternator is being fully mounted into the engine. By the way, guys, I am not a professional mechanic. I am just a do-it-yourself kind of guy, learning how to do all these things, because you go to the dealer and it's thousands of dollars for any simple job. So at this point, it's either learn how to fix things on my own or just get rid of the car, because I am not going to be paying thousands of dollars for simple repairs. So the bolts, I went online and I checked, and the torquing for both bolts is 8 foot-pounds plus 180 degrees. So that is exactly what I did. And everything looks good. So now all I have to do is put the serpentine belt back on, and that's pretty easy. So just clockwise to release the belt tensioner. In this case, and with this engine, this pulley right here, that was the one that I left for the last. It was easier actually to go under the belt tensioner roller into the pulley from the alternator, and then right here the AC compressor will be the last one. So it was really easy, just releasing the tension here on the right with the bolt breaker bar, and then it was pretty easy to mount the belt right here on the air compressor. So that was the sequence, pretty easy compared to other vehicles that I have worked with. And it was a nice fit. So I'm gonna start doing all the electrical connections here, and I'm gonna keep recording. All right, guys, I'm done here. So I have put together all the connections again, the electrical connections. I did use, if you look at right here, a QC electrical cleaner for all the connections. And I also did use the mass airflow sensor to clean the, well, obviously sensor right here. And I took the opportunity to do a little bit of engine cleaning. So there was a lot of grease and stuff like that, but everything came pretty good. The alternator is sitting pretty well in there with the bolts. And don't forget, really important step before you start doing this project, you need to disconnect the battery, and always disconnect the negative terminal first and then the red terminal. And when reconnecting back, make sure you put the red terminal first and then the negative or black terminal, because if you don't follow this sequence, you can fry your computers in the vehicle. So that's a really important step. I'm gonna put a little note on the video that I'm gonna be uploading. And now I'm gonna be testing the charging system. So basically I use a multimeter for that. Put a multimeter, turn on the engine, make sure that the reading on the multimeter goes from probably like 12.6 to 13 to 14 volts, which is an indicator that the alternator is charging the battery. All right, thanks for watching.